Hello, good evening. I'm Sally Taylor. Now, are you a nail biter? Maybe pick your skin or pull your hair. For lots of us, it's seen as an occasional bad habit, but for others, it can be a more serious mental health condition that is hard to stop. Body-focused repetitive behaviours are thought to affect up to 4 million people across the UK and Ireland. But campaigners say they are misunderstood and under-researched, leading many to cover up the impact of their condition. A professor from the University of Oxford, who's been living with the condition for 40 years, is on a mission to change that. She's been speaking to our health correspondent Alistair Fee about raising awareness and getting help for those who need it, particularly young people who often suffer in silence. Just to warn you, you may find some of the images difficult to watch.
It started in primary school. The eyelashes were earlier than my hair, because I started doing that when I was a lot younger. Then I started doing my hair a few years ago.
At the age of just 7, Bea started pulling out her hair.
I had no control over it. I wasn't sure what was happening, so I was trying to figure it out.
The urge to pull at hair, pick at skin and bite nails can happen at any age, but often starts as a child.
When I was your age, suffering from the same things, I found it so difficult to talk about it.
Bea is at the University of Oxford's Department of Psychiatry to meet someone who's been living with the same condition for most of her life.
In the same way as we all feel sadness, but only some people have depression, we all sometimes worry, but only some people experience clinical anxiety. In the same way, we all experience urges to pick, pull and bite, but for some of us, for some reason, that goes beyond the threshold and it becomes a disorder.
40 years on, Claire still lives with the same uncontrollable impulses.
We think that there's probably somewhere between 2 and 5% of people who live with persistent picking, pulling and biting. And I'm one of those people. So for as long as I can remember, I've bitten my nails. But when I was about 12 years old, I started pulling out my hair, and I suffered for 40 years of not being able to control the urges to pull out my hair, mostly living with it as a secret shame that I didn't feel able to talk about, until recently when I thought that maybe I can use the 30 years of studying the brain to try and lift the lid on the set of disorders that so little is known about.
Grooming builds bonds of friendship.
It's thought to come from natural, tactile desires commonly associated with primates. The excessive, repetitive impulse among animals is believed to be linked to stress.
It was worrying. You know, you always look at solutions. You want to mend things when you're a mother. You want to make things better. And I didn't know how to. But this is not something that they have control of. And understanding that as a parent, you can't solve problems for your children. You've got to support them through it.
When we were trying to figure out what it was, none of the doctors had ever heard of it, or no one, and we had to go through the internet trying to find people who had heard of it, and know what it was.
So more help for young people would be a good thing?
Yeah, because, well, as I said, people didn't know about it. So.
For some, hair pulling, known as trichotillomania, can leave them almost bald. It's estimated that more than 1 million people obsessively pull at their hair. Very little research has taken place into BFRBs, or body-focused repetitive behaviours.
It was really frustrating because you turn to health professionals for when you've got a problem and you think it's a sort of a medical problem. They were maybe saying that it wasn't, or, you know, when they're quite open. In fact, some of them they didn't know. They said they'd try look into it. But you expect them to know, or you hope that they would know. And in the end, I went to the internet and I sat there searching many different combinations of words of hair pulling, eyebrow pulling, and it takes you to a lot of American sites. There doesn't seem to be anything in England.
For the first time in the UK, experts from a range of scientific backgrounds, alongside people living with the condition, will gather for a conference in Oxford on the 13th and 14th of September.
Until very recently, it wasn't a conversation I felt that I could have out loud. And I think that's common for many people with these sorts of behaviours. There are many levels of understanding why we might behave in a particular way. For me, there is a frustration of looking through a one particular lens, and that's really what this conference is about. We're trying to bring together a whole bunch of different lenses through which we can try and understand this behaviour, and across them all, I hope that we'll start to have the conversations that mean we can find some answers.
That's 25, that's 26. I've stopped doing it, but then occasionally I do eyelashes still, but I've stopped recently because of my nails. So now I don't do any of it.
Because you've got false nails on, haven't
Yeah.
you? So is that a good way of stopping you?
Yeah, it's good because I can fiddle with them if I feel like I need to, and then it also stops.
There is no one solution for all, but meeting those living with the condition is a major part of this new programme of research. Alistair Fee, BBC South Today.
And you can find out more about that conference in Oxford about body-focused repetitive behaviours by searching for BFRB UK online. There are also details of organisations offering information and support with mental health available on the BBC's Action Line.